Cheers. Good morning. Ooh, that's hot. Welcome to another vlog. In case you're new here, I left behind my corporate consulting desk job to work on a farm, and I'm on the Big Island of Hawai'i, which is why I can be in shorts and a tank top even though it's February. So I just wanted to take you along with me on a pretty typical day to show you what life looks like on the other side of the corporate ladder. I haven't totally left the corporate world. I basically work hourly for my old consulting job just to make ends meet, but I spend the bulk of my day doing stuff here at the farm. So today on the docket, we are finishing banding the sheep. That means making sure the boys can't reproduce, if you catch my drift. We've been talking about pruning the coffee trees, so we'll see if that's a today task or not. And then I have been working on a really fun, super exciting little side project. So I want to show you a little bit about that today too. So let's do it. I have a quick side quest to do, which is that I park my car underneath these orange trees, and we're kind of in the tail end of the fruiting season. Like, the oranges are really slowing down, but there are a few oranges on top of my car that are like looking really good. But we were just looking at that earlier, and we were like, I don't want those falling onto the car, because one of the farmers here, he was telling me that one time he was harvesting an avocado and it came down and it totally smashed a mirror, and he was like, that was a $250 avocado. So trying to avoid that with my car, I'm gonna grab those oranges and see if we can keep my car protected. Can you see them up there? I've been working over there for several hours at this point, and I still have more to do, but I'm making good progress, so that feels good. So to be like totally real with you, on an average day, I often don't get to my consulting work until the evening, like the way it often goes, because my office is based in Boston. Right now, there's a 5-hour time difference between here and Boston. And so the way my days normally go is like early morning is when I'll have meetings, because that's when we're all online. And then I'll go out and do a bunch of work on the farm. And then I'll come back in the evening, and that's when I like have work blocks. But it's hard to make it all happen. Plus, on top of like these videos, I'm in the middle of doing like a 28-day shorts series. So I'm posting them here on YouTube, but also on Instagram and TikTok. I'm also doing social media for the farm. So a lot of things to fit into my 24 hours. But yeah, it actually feels good to be getting some of this consulting work done earlier in the day. Hopefully that will give me a little more control over my time later in the day. But I'm hungry now, so I think it's time for lunch. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I have a very fun side project that I'm working on. I literally just started working on it yesterday, but we've been chattering about it for like a couple of months now. So I want to show you what I'm working on. I'm so excited. I'm telling you, I like wake up in the morning and I think about this, and I go to sleep and I think about this. So yeah, let me show you. Dun 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 dun. Here it is. Ta-da! Okay, so you're probably asking yourself, what is it? Well, currently it's 4 metal stakes with some string tied around it, but give me a month or two and it's gonna be a greenhouse. Well, it's actually gonna be a polytunnel, which is a term I hadn't heard before. So we've been calling it a greenhouse. It's functionally really similar to a greenhouse, except instead of having like firm, rigid sides, a polytunnel has usually a plasticky side or, some kind of more flexible side. So we're still finalizing what we want to do with the materials, but the vision here is that we are going to be growing produce for our own use. The turkeys have something to say about that. The farm that I'm on is largely macadamia, citrus, avocado, and coffee. That one's macadamia. That's macadamia. This one is grapefruit. We produce a lot of those, but when it comes to like vegetables, we still have to go to the grocery store or farmer's market or whatever and buy a lot of those. And we live on a farm, so we're thinking, okay, let's use this space and let's see if we can become even more self-sustaining here than we already are. So that's the vision with this polytunnel / greenhouse. So yeah, I've been super excited about this, and yesterday I framed it out. Right now I'm working with 14 feet on the short side and 24 feet on the long side. So that's the current size of the space that I'm working with. Part of the reason for that particular size is because we're going to be recycling some materials that we have here at the farm that were previously used for other structures, and now we're going to use it for this. And so we're designing it based on the materials that we already have. So I've been spending time going through the actual construction of it to make sure we have a good plan for what we need to do to build this thing. Now today, one of my goals is to lay out the inside a little bit. Before we build anything, before we finalize the design, I want to know for sure that we're creating it in a size that's optimized for the interior layout that I want. Oh, another thing. Hi, turkeys. I wonder if this mic picks up the turkeys. They respond to me. Hey, turkeys. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to share with you is that next week I'm starting a Master Gardener program. I'm so excited. This is actually something that I had looked into before I even moved here, and then you had to go through an application process and an interview process, and it starts next week. I had not heard of them before, so in case you are also interested in gardening and growing food, these Master Gardener programs are typically affiliated with a university, and I think they exist across the US, maybe in other countries too, I don't know. It's basically a class, and so what my schedule is going to look like is every Friday in the mornings I'm going to have a lecture, and then in the afternoon we'll have like a lab or a field excursion. We're learning from, professors and professionals in the field, literally in the field, about gardening that's very specific to this climate where we are. And so that's why it's really cool that it exists with different university systems, because you can learn really specific stuff about gardening in your climate. Yeah, I'm super excited about that. It's a pretty cool thing too, because in order to be a certified master gardener, at least with my program, you have to volunteer for a year at their helpline. So that means about once a month for the next year after I finish the program, I'm going to be on the phone talking to people who are calling in with gardening questions. So it's a great way for me to learn, because I have gardened in the past. I've gardened a lot, actually. I've done several vegetable gardens in my time, but I am new here to Hawaii, so I have a lot to learn about the specifics of gardening here. So it's going to be really fun to be able to go through that class while I'm also developing this greenhouse polytunnel situation here, because that's going to be, a really clear way for me to apply everything that I'm learning very directly, not to mention everywhere else on the farm. If you have any pro tips about what grows really well here on the Big Island of Hawaii, now there are like so many different climate regions, so your elevation matters and where you are on the island matters a lot, and I know that, but still would be curious to hear any tips that people have. And I'm also thinking about doing a whole separate video going through the whole process of how I'm going to be building this polytunnel. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know and I would be super happy to share with you. So far what I've done is, it's not going to look like a lot, but this is what I'm going to be working on today. I've just been taking notes on my iPad about things as I come across them in my research. So this is all about ventilation and the importance of getting the air moving the right way through this polytunnel to make sure your plants are healthy in the right temperature range, to make sure fungus and parasites are not thriving, you know, all that stuff. But what I'm working on now is I have a blank slate, and this is the dimensions of this polytunnel, and I'm gonna lay out a variety of like raised beds, and we're gonna have hanging plants and, you know, maybe shelving units or like a potting area or whatever. So I'm gonna play with a few different options here, and you know, that's kind of my goal for this afternoon. Yay. If you want to see how this project progresses, be sure to subscribe because I'm gonna be posting a lot about it. I'm so excited about it. When I'm sitting out here in the orchard, I gotta keep an eye out for sheep poop because it's everywhere. This is farm life. Here's what I'm trying to play with. I don't know yet, but right now I'm like thinking about 3 long rows of beds. Here would be the door. Oh, and I forgot I would also put a door on the back. Again, this is like an important part of airflow, is making sure we have as much ventilation as possible. The sides are going to be made of like it's kind of like a chicken wire type thing, so that we're going to be getting a lot of ventilation down at the bottom. And instead of using plastic on the top, we might just use like a sun screen, which is like a mesh that blocks some of the intensity of the UV because we get a lot of sun here, but it also lets air through. Now we'll have to consider if that's what we want, because that means it's also going to let rain through, and we get quite a bit of rain here. But in terms of the layout here, I'm playing with 2 big 4-foot beds on the side, and the reason I can get away with this is because I'm going to be building, well, now I'm doubting myself. I was thinking I was going to be building the sides so that I could access them from the outside, but now that I think about that, I don't think that's true. I don't think I'm going to be able to access it super easily from the outside. So I'm going to redo this. I'm going to move those. They say you kind of want a minimum of 2 feet, like 24 inches for a walk space. So maybe what I'll do is I'll get rid of this middle one and move these side ones in a little bit. Yeah, so I could do something like that where it's just, again, 2 big long beds. And this way we've got 2 feet of walking space around each one. Or like another thing I was thinking that could be good, we could also make these shorter beds so that we could walk around here. The thing is like really 24 feet is not that long, so I really don't mind having to walk all the way around if it gives us, because right here we'd be losing 8 square feet and then another 8 square feet down here, so we'd be losing 16 square feet of growing space if I put that in there. And so like just for accessibility, I don't really mind, you know, walking a little bit further so that I can have that growing space. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. That I kept a little bit of space open in the front, so I've got like 4 feet on each side here, which is not a ton, but I just wanted space to have like a little tool area And if I want to have some shelves for like some starts and stuff, I think that could work. Anyway, I'm going to keep playing with this a lot. Like I said, I really would be curious to hear what insight any of you guys have, any thoughts about, like, if you were doing this, how would you lay it out and why? Let me know. Like, shorter beds give us more walking space, but I don't really like this option as much because I want to use these long edges here for trellises. And if you see my little compass here, my compass rose, whatever it's called, this is the north side, this is the south side, and we get a lot of sun here. So the sun is going to be, you know, traveling from east to west across here. And so we'll be getting a lot of sun throughout the whole day. So I want to, like, things that are going to get really tall and will grow on a trellis, I want to put on this back wall here. So that's why I think I'd rather have some beds, you know, back there. And I guess what I could consider doing is, instead of a 4-foot bed, I could do a 2 or 3-foot bed right along this back wall so that I can just put trellises right along the, well, you know, I can do, there's a few different kinds of trellises that I could play with there, but I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. What do you think I should do? You know, you're an adult when you get super excited about a glass container set. And not only that, a 3-in-1 immersion blender. These I ordered on Amazon, which I really try to not order on Amazon as much as possible because we have enough billionaires in the world. Anyway, but when you live on an island in the middle of the ocean, things can be really, really expensive to get here. And so, like, sometimes there's a little bit of a cost benefit thing that has to happen. So anyway, that's why I got these. And it's not like on the continent when you can really get like 2-day prime shipping. That's not how this works here. So it's been a while and now it's here. I'm gonna become a meal prep girly, okay? That's why I got these. I ingredient prep more than I meal prep. I don't mind eating the same thing because I love the stuff that I make, but I really like ingredient prepping and just like having stuff ready to go. So cute. There's a smaller size and a larger size. That's perfect. I'm so excited. Later tonight after I work out, I'll unbox those and wash them. And then this is exciting too, because mark my words, one day soon, I really want to get a Ninja Creamy. And this was the motivation, the real motivation behind this is to get the little milk frother thing that comes in here to help mix up my stuff for my Ninja Creamy. Anyway, time to go work out. You know, it's the end of the night when I have my yogurt bowl. I'm actually obsessed with this. It's been like over a year. I think last January, like January 2025 is when I started eating peanut butter Greek yogurt every single night. Like, it's crazy. I don't know, man. I love it. It's so delicious, and I'm on a mission to get ripped, so that helps with that. Thanks for tagging along with me on this day. This was actually really great. It was really fun. And I want to do this kind of video more often. I'd be curious to know if you liked it. This is still a very new channel, so I'm still getting a feel for what kinds of videos I like to make on here, what kinds of videos you guys like to see on here. So, any feedback that you have would be very greatly appreciated. And actually, on that note, we just hit 1,000 subscribers, so that's so exciting. Thank you to all 1,000 of you for being here. I'm so grateful for all of you. I think it'd be kind of fun to do a 1,000 subscribers Q&A. Normally, I would go on Instagram and ask for questions there, but my Instagram account is so tiny. I don't even have 100 followers on Instagram, and most of those people are family or people I went to high school with. So I guess if you're watching this video here and you have questions for me that you'd be interested in hearing, me talk more about, go ahead and leave them here underneath this video. So if you enjoy seeing what's on the other side of the corporate ladder, I do invite you to subscribe here. If you subscribe now, you'll be one of the early ones. You'll be here at the beginning of the journey. So you're a real one for supporting me this early on. My hope and my dream is that eventually one day I can use this YouTube channel as a way to support my life here outside of the corporate world. However, I have really high standards for who I would work with. One of the main ways that YouTube channels generate revenue is through brand deals, which is awesome. I'm not against brand deals, but I'm very picky with who I'll work with. I'm really on more of a mission to de-influence people than to influence people to buy crap that they don't need. So to that end, if you'd like to support me and support this journey, I invite you to check me out over on Patreon. It's a really simple thing. It's only one tier, just $5 a month. As you saw, my days are quite full here, so I don't have a whole lot of time to do a whole lot of extra things for Patreon right now. So really, I view it as kind of a tip jar. If you're able to support me, able to buy me a cup of coffee every month, it's just $5 every month. I do have intentions of talking about the reals, the money side over there on Patreon in even more nitty-gritty detail than I've done here on this channel. So in the next month or so, I'm going to be putting a video up there about kind of a quarterly financial check-in to see how things are going on the finance side after leaving behind my full-time job. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, or if you just want to support me in that way, there's always a link to my Patreon below. And if you want to hear more about my story and how I ended up here in the first place, take a look at this video here. I break it all down in a lot of detail. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so deeply, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Mwah! Love you. Bye. I've been looking forward to this all day.